If you've been feeling like you have been avoiding some of the big problems and issues in your life, you have found the right video. Stay tuned because that is exactly what we'll be talking about today. Welcome to another video. For those of you who are new, my name is Nena and I'm a life coach that specializes in personal development. Here at our channel, we talk about everything having to do with life transformation and personal growth. So if you aren't already a subscriber, please take a moment and become one because we definitely want you to be part of our family. So today we're going to be talking all about avoiding our issues and the major problems in our life. Now, we are all guilty of doing this at some points, but it can be very problematic if this becomes a pattern for us. So today we're going to do three things. We're going to talk about the different ways that we might be avoiding our issues and maybe not even realizing it. Secondly, we'll get to the bottom of why we personally are avoiding these issues. And then lastly, I'm going to offer some specific strategies that we can use to kind of break ourselves of this habit and start to really be able to face the difficult problems in our life. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So firstly, we want to think about the different ways that we might be avoiding these issues in our life. So we could be consciously avoiding them or subconsciously avoiding them. Now, when it's conscious, it's a lot easier to spot, of course, and that's something that we may have a great awareness of. So if we know we don't want to be dealing with something and so instead we decide to rewatch the entire 9 seasons of Game of Thrones, that's a pretty good indication we are definitely trying to avoid something in our life. But it's not always that simple. So one strategy I see people using again and again is something that I call safe problems. Now, a safe problem is something where there is a legitimate concern, but that is not really your problem. So that is when someone else has an issue. For example, if your friend is going through a divorce or if someone has an illness or something that does require some attention and love from you, but you make that a much bigger focus than the things in your own life. Now, because it has a noble nature about it, we can convince ourselves that that is something that is worthy of our time and more important than the things that are in our own life. But when we give it enough thought and analysis, we can really determine if these things are really a priority for us or if really the priority is taking a little bit of weight off of what we really need to be focusing on right now. Doesn't mean that those problems aren't important. Oftentimes, again, they really, really are. But we have to think of our own motive for becoming so involved in them. Another form of safe problems that we might be using is when we think about our own life and we give things that are kind of on a lesser tier much more importance in our life. So we are giving a lot of time and energy to things that are of some importance, but not nearly of the magnitude of the things that are really deserving of our time and attention right now. Now, of course, if we are using avoidance strategies in our life, there is something that we feel is too painful to address right now. There is something about the issue that is too uncomfortable for us to want to face. So let's get to the bottom of what that is. So the first step in that is really trying to figure out where that pain lies for us. What are we trying to avoid feeling? So we need to really isolate this circumstance and analyze it and see what it is about it that is making it just so difficult for us. So we can do that maybe by journaling, by meditating, by talking it out with somebody else, or just by using, some real self-analysis. But we've got to be honest with ourselves so we can really understand why this is so troubling. So once we do that, we can make a lot of progress. So one thing I find enormously helpful is really getting clear with ourselves about what solving this problem or addressing this issue could really mean in our life. So let's think about it from the other end. If this problem was actually solved, what could that mean for us? Another way we can think about this is thinking about if this were magically fixed for us without us having to do anything, how would we feel then? We really want to get a feel of the benefits of this problem actually being solved. So take a moment to really think about how you would feel if this could just disappear. Now, on the flip side of this, let's think about the alternative. What would happen if this never got solved? How would you feel if this continued to be an issue in your life? What repercussions would it have for you? Then you want to take a moment to contrast how the different feelings impact you. So if you were able to address this problem, or if this problem could be solved, versus if this problem never got solved. So let's say you said for one you would feel relief and the other one you would feel sadness. So we want to contrast the feelings of relief with sadness and see how both make you feel. Now, with the understanding that there's no way to magically fix a problem, understanding that we will have to work through an issue or problem, think about, is it worth it to you to go through the pain or discomfort that you will experience by addressing these issues to have that final result? So is it worth it for you to go through that sadness to get to the relief, let's say, if those were your words? In life, we never want these things to really be sitting on our hearts, so it is important that we do address our issues and our problems. So if the answer was no for you, there are two possible explanations why. So the first one would be that you don't have a big enough why. You don't have a big enough reason. This problem isn't large enough for you to go through whatever it is. So that's something that you maybe need to let go of. But probably what is happening is that you are feeling unwilling or incapable of going through the fear or pain that is associated with you actually addressing this problem. Now, if this is the case for you, this is exactly where we need to start, because we need to start healing the emotions behind it. If there is that degree of fear or uncertainty that is just too unbearable, we need to think about why. What is being brought up for us? What needs to be healed in our life before we're able to really attack these issues? So we need to really reflect and see how we can make some progress there. And from that point, we need to make a plan of action. We need to think about what steps that we could take right now that we would be willing to take that could make some progress in this area. If we take one step forward, it's going to be a lot easier to take more steps forward, because we're going to see how much better we feel by even being honest with ourselves enough to know that we really do need to start addressing this problem. So write down anything we could do to get this ball rolling. What are some realistic steps that we can take to start solving this problem? You want to list out things that you're comfortable with at this moment, and then things that you want to work up to be comfortable doing. So even if you feel like the list is a little intimidating right now, you don't want to leave things off the list. You want to think about all the practical things that could be done to help you really get to the root of this. And we have to really understand that by not addressing our issues, we are dragging out the pain. We are just actually compiling more and more pain, because we start to make really a story around the issue. So it's not just the issue. We have, a huge story that we've told ourselves. We've made it even scarier and more frightening than it needs to be in the first place. So we think by avoiding these issues, we're really saving ourselves from feeling this pain, but actually we're making it a lot worse for ourselves. There's no way we can avoid all of our problems forever, so at some point they will have to get addressed. So it's much better to really make a plan to start handling these issues in a way that you feel is manageable right now in your own life. And then again, making progress to handling them in a more direct way. And love yourself enough to help yourself get through that process. It is never easy to think about these difficult situations in our life, which is why we avoid them in the first place. They're very hard, they're very challenging, but we do have the strength to do it. We always have the strength. These problems are always going to be somewhere in the background, always nagging at us throughout our lives. So we really need to get into the habit of self-analysis and getting to the root of what is going on for us, so we can start to address these issues and finally have peace. So I hope this video was helpful to you, and if it was, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone else who may need to hear this message today. Also, if you aren't a part of our community, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel, because we definitely don't want you to miss out on anything. I thank you so much for spending time with me today, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Have an amazing day.